Welcome to the Baboom podcast, your go-to source for expert tips on car stereo installation, vehicle wiring, and all things wiring related. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just getting started, we've got the advice to help you power up your ride. Get ready to crank up the volume on your knowledge and make your next wiring project a success.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're zeroing in on something pretty fundamental for a lot of us, car audio sound.
Yeah, how it sounds on the road.
Exactly. And there's this common idea, right, that getting really great sound means, shelling out loads of cash for pros and fancy gear.
Right. Big bucks.
But what if? What if you could get surprisingly good results yourself? Just using, your ears, maybe some free apps on your phone, and a bit of patience.
That's precisely what we're digging into today. The mission, really, is to show you how to unlock your system's potential without breaking the bank.
Nice.
And we're drawing from, a really solid DIY guide that lays things out pretty clearly.
Yeah, and think about the payoff. Commutes, road trips. You spend a lot of time in your car.
Definitely.
A well-tuned system can totally transform that time into something, much more immersive.
Absolutely. An immersive sound journey, you could say.
So with that sonic upgrade goal in mind, where do we even begin? What's the first step?
Okay, the most crucial first step. It's understanding your starting point. Before you touch any settings.
Just listen.
Just listen. Critically. Spend some real quality time just, evaluating your current system as it is.
Okay, critical listening. Let's
Right.
break that down. What does that actually involve? Is it just putting on music?
It's more active than that. You're really focusing on how the system reproduces sound. The guide we're using suggests playing a good variety of music.
Like different genres?
Exactly. Rock, pop, jazz, maybe some classical even. Different styles will push different frequencies and test the dynamics, the louds and quiets.
Gotcha. So what specific gremlins should we be listening for? What are the common problems?
It's a good question. The guide lists a few key things, like is the bass totally overpowering everything else, drowning out vocals?
Yeah, I heard that.
Or is the treble, the high notes, really harsh? Maybe even painful. That's another one.
Okay. Harsh highs.
Also, listen for a muffled or weak midrange. That makes voices sound kind of distant or muddy. And then there's the soundstage. Does it feel balanced? Is the sound nicely centered in front of you, or does it feel like it's all coming from, say, the left speaker?
That makes total sense. So it's not passive listening at all.
Not at all. And the guide makes a really smart suggestion. Take notes.
Notes, like bass too boomy.
Yeah, exactly. What you hear, what you like, what you don't. It gives you baseline.
So you can track your progress later.
Precisely. As you make changes, you can refer back and see if you're actually fixing the issues you noted down.
Clever. And for listeners who want to really get into the weeds, the audio theory. Does the guide mention resources for that?
It does, yeah. It points to their expert software section for more fundamental explanations and troubleshooting. Good if you want that deeper theoretical grounding.
Okay, great. So we've listened, we've taken notes. Now what? Where do we make the first actual adjustment?
Right. The guide really emphasizes starting with the head unit.
Yeah.
Your car stereo itself.
The stereo. Really?
Yeah.
I always figured the big gains were from amps and speakers.
Well, those are definitely important, no doubt.
Yeah.
But the head unit is often overlooked, and it's actually a pretty powerful tuning tool right there in your dash.
Interesting. Okay, so what settings on the head unit should we focus on?
First up, balance and fade. Simple stuff, but important.
Left, right, front, back.
Yep. Balance is left, right, fade is front, rear. The goal is to get a centered sound image like the band's in front of you and have it feel evenly distributed, not skewed to one side or just blasting from the front.
Makes sense. You want the singer centered, not in the glove box. What else?
Then you've got your basic tone controls, bass, mid, treble.
The classic EQ sliders.
Exactly. And the key advice here from the guide is small adjustments. Tiny increments.
Don't just crank everything.
Please don't. It's easy to overdo it and make things sound really unnatural or harsh. Think subtle refinement, not a massive overhaul.
Okay, subtlety is key. What if you have a subwoofer?
Good one. Your head unit likely has a subwoofer level control. This is critical.
For blending it in.
Precisely. You want the sub to support the main speakers, add that low-end depth and punch, but not dominate. It shouldn't overwhelm everything else.
The foundation, not the whole house. Got it. Any other head unit settings to watch out for?
Yes. The guide specifically warns against loudness settings. Turn those off.
Really? Why? I thought they made it sound better at low volume.
They might boost bass and treble at low volumes, yeah, but they often do it in a way that adds artificial color and can actually cause distortion or just sound unnatural when you turn it up to normal levels.
Huh. Okay, loudness off.
Need top-quality electrical wire? Baboom's got you covered. Get your 6-pack today. Each combo comes in 6 different colors and a total of 600 feet of wire. Perfect for any project, and you won't find a better price in the industry. Head over to baboom.com now to snag yours. That's baboom.com.
Good tip. So head unit tweaked. Where next?
Okay, this is where things get kind of cool. Your smartphone.
My phone. How does my phone help tune my car stereo?
It can actually act as a surprisingly useful analysis tool, a stand-in for expensive pro gear like RTA's real-time analyzers.
No way. Seriously.
Seriously. There are free apps that use your phone's microphone to give you a picture of your system's frequency response. The guide mentions a few examples.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Which apps are we talking about?
Well, for Android, there's one called Audio Tool. It has a basic RTA function and an SPL meter for loudness.
SPL. Sound pressure level.
Yep. And for iOS, there's a simple SPL meter, and one called Decibel X, available for both, is apparently noted as being pretty accurate for measuring sound levels.
Wow. So how do these apps actually help with the tuning process? What do they show you?
They basically give you a visual graph showing which frequencies are playing loudly and which are quieter in your car.
Like a bar chart of the sound.
Sort of, yeah. Now look, the guide is clear they aren't as precise as dedicated pro equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect lab-grade accuracy.
Okay, managing expectations.
Right. But they can give you a really valuable visual reference. You can often see major problems like a huge peak in the bass or a big dip in the mid-range, or just general imbalance.
So it helps confirm what you think you're hearing.
Exactly. It adds a more objective layer to your subjective listening. And, the guide mentions their About Us page, talks about making this stuff accessible, so using tools you already have fits right in.
This is genuinely useful stuff. I never thought of using my phone like that. Okay, so head unit, check. Phone analysis, check. What's the next big tuning step?
The next critical stage is adjusting your crossover settings.
Crossovers. Okay, I've heard that term. Remind me what they do again.
Think of them as frequency traffic cops for your speakers. They direct the right sounds to the right speakers.
So bass goes to the woofer, treble to the tweeter.
Essentially, yes. A high-pass filter, or HPF, lets high frequencies pass through to a speaker, like a tweeter or mid-range, and blocks the low bass.
Okay.
And a low-pass filter, LPF, does the opposite. It lets low frequencies pass through to, say, your subwoofer and blocks the highs.
Got it. And this is important if you have.
It's especially key if you have an external amplifier, because many amps have these crossovers built in, or if you're using a separate DSP, a digital signal processor.
Right. So where should we typically set these filters? Are there starting points?
The guide gives some good ballpark figures. For your main door speakers or tweeters, try setting the high-pass filter, HPF, somewhere around 80 Hz, maybe up to 100 Hz.
Why there?
It stops those smaller speakers from trying to reproduce deep bass they can't handle well. That prevents distortion and potentially damage.
Okay, protect the little guys. And the sub.
For the subwoofer, you use the low-pass filter, LPF. Setting it around 80 Hz is also a common starting point.
Same frequency.
Often, yeah. It ensures the sub focuses only on the deep stuff and doesn't try to play mid-range frequencies, which would just muddy the sound, keep the bass clean.
80 Hz seems to be a magic number here. What about that slope adjustment thing the guide mentioned?
Ah, the slope. That controls how sharply the filter cuts off frequencies. It's measured in dB per octave, like 12 dB or 24 dB.
Steeper cutoff versus gradual.
Exactly. A steeper slope, like 24 dB, cuts frequencies off more abruptly. 12 dB is more gradual. The guide suggests experimenting.
To find what sounds smoothest.
Right. It affects how well the sound transitions between, say, your mid-range speakers and your subwoofer. You play around to find what sounds the most seamless to your ears.
So getting crossovers right isn't just about sound quality, it's also speaker protection.
Absolutely. Directing the right frequencies keeps speakers happy and working efficiently, preventing stress and distortion. And just as a side note, if you are upgrading, the guide mentions Baboom has premium CCA wire options.
Good to know where to get parts.
Okay.
Head unit, phone analysis, crossovers dialed in.
Yeah.
Roughly. What's the final polish?
Now it's time to put away the analyzers, maybe just for a bit, and go back to the most important tool, your ears.
Hmm?
And your favorite music.
Ah, the fun part.
Totally. The guide really stresses fine-tuning using music, inside and out.
So not just random test tracks.
No, use songs you love. The guide suggests building a specific playlist to test different things.
Like what? What kind of tracks work best?
Well, they give some good examples. Acoustic songs, great for checking clarity, how natural instruments sound, and vocal presence.
Yeah, you can really hear the detail there.
Definitely. Then maybe some electronic music or hip-hop for the bass. How deep does it go? Is it punchy? Does the sub integrate well?
Testing the low end. Makes sense.
Orchestral music is fantastic for testing the soundstage, that sense of space and where instruments are and dynamics, the big swings from quiet to loud.
Okay, wide range there.
And maybe some classic rock to check the mid-range warmth, guitar crunch, that kind of detail.
That covers a lot of ground. So as we're listening to our test playlist,
Yeah.
what's the process? Just tweak things randomly?
No, be methodical. The guide suggests starting your listening at moderate volume levels. Make small tweaks back to the head unit, EQ maybe, or amp gain if you have one.
Small adjustment again?
Yes. Then, crucially, recheck how it sounds at louder volumes. Does it stay balanced? Does it get harsh or distorted? Does it make your ears tired after a while?
Ah, the listener fatigue test. Important.
Very. You want a system you can enjoy for the whole drive. And hey, if you get inspired for more DIY stuff, the guide mentions their article section has more projects.
You know, listening to all this, it feels much less intimidating. It's not just for audio engineers with expensive labs.
Exactly. That's the whole point. Really good car audio sound is achievable for, well, pretty much anyone without needing a pro install or tons of cash.
It's about process.
It's process, using the tools you have, including your own ears, and being patient.
So, quick recap. Start with critical listening. Take notes. Then basic head unit tweaks balance, fade, EQ, sublevel, kill the loudness. Use those surprisingly helpful smartphone apps as a guide.
Yep. Get a visual.
Set your crossovers carefully. HPF around 80, 100 Hz for mains, LPF around 80 Hz for the sub. Experiment with slopes.
Crucial steps.
And finally, fine-tune everything using familiar music, testing different aspects of the sound at different volumes.
Yeah, that nails it. The big takeaway is that you can make a significant difference yourself with time, focus, and these steps. It really enhances the driving experience.
And the guide really pushes trusting your own ears, being patient, enjoying the small wins along the way. It's a journey.
Absolutely. It's your sound system. Tailor it to what you like. And of course, if you do decide to upgrade components later, the guide points back to Baboom Baboom for accessories and quality wires.
And help is available too, sounds like, through their contact page if you get stuck or plan bigger projects.
Seems that way, yeah. Support is there.
Yeah. So your perfect driving soundtrack, it's definitely closer than you might think. This knowledge is really the key first step.
It really is. It empowers you to take control.
So here's something to think about. Now that you've got these tools and this understanding, what new details, what nuances in your absolute favorite songs are you going to hear now that maybe you were missing before?
Yeah, what sonic treasures will you unlock?
It's exciting to consider. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.
Need top-quality electrical wire? Baboom Baboom's got you covered. Get your 6-pack today. Each combo comes in 6 different colors and a total of 600 feet of wire. Perfect for any project, and you won't find a better price in the industry. Head over to baboombabboom.com now to snag yours. That's baboombabboom.com.